You know, I don't know if I know your fire story. When did the fire, was it Monday or Tuesday that it came through? And
Tuesday was when it. I mean, it come Monday. It was unreal. We started clear over there west of Ashland, about 15 miles, and we moved some cows for my nephew and my sister and brother-in-law, and and the fire was way southwest of them, and the wind was out of the northwest. It didn't look like to us we'd have any problem with it. But my nephew asked me, "So what do you think?" And I said, "You know, we're here. Why don't we just be safe instead of sorry? Let's just move them." So that's what we did.
moved in a
We
week.
moved them. We moved them about oh, we moved about a mile down the road and across into a wheat field to Mike McCarty's.
Oh,
He had
okay.
told them to let them, and they let them put them in there. Of course, they were safe in that wheat field, and we left there and was just kind of lollygagging around. You know, it didn't look like there's a. And the next thing we know, we heard that my sister-in-law's house and brother-in-law's might be their house might be on fire or about to get it. So we drive like heck to try to help them, and it wasn't there. I mean, we got there and they wasn't. I mean, I can't remember now. It's been too long, but
Yeah.
I can't remember when my sister-in-law was actually there. But uh, they weren't worried about it too much at that time, and then it just we found out there was another fire, so we went to run to it, and the next thing we know, Kelly's sister Mary said she'd lost her house.
Man. Is that Mary Cotton?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
and
I'm sorry to make you relive it. I'm sorry.
oh, you know, I'm a way better than I was. I couldn't said 10 words without crying at first. I'm serious. It was, uh, but but anyway, the house didn't burn. They lost a barn and lost another shed, and then I don't know. We then it came at our house, and you know, you was over at our house, and it was just coming, and I was out there with the tractor and disc. That was at night, and there was a draw through this pasture. I know the pasture. It's not mine, but I've run cattle in there, and anyway, I thought I could cross and obviously I couldn't. I dropped in a big old deal, and you know, I don't know. I just got out of there, but
It was close.
yeah, it was really close.
Uh-huh.
And when I got out, uh, my I got out on the road, and my lights got dim, and I was really looking. I was trying to figure what in the heck, and I looked out the back window, and flames was shooting up that back window, and when it
Oh.
when it did that, then the tractor basically died, and I got it to the ditch, and I got out, and I let it go, and then I thought, well, shoot, I ought to get that toolbox. So I got up there, you know, and I've been in that tractor a million times, and I couldn't remember where the door handle was. I guess, you know, it's
It's
just panic,
yeah.
you know, I don't know what. But I finally found the door handle, and I opened it up and got that toolbox, and stepped down off of there, and I made it back to the disc, and it was a real boom, a real loud boom, and the flames just shot up that side of that cab that
So
I
you
was
were
just at.
within seconds, probably.
Yeah, I mean, not very long. It probably maybe a minute, but it wasn't very long. But it burnt. It just about melted that tractor. But you know, and anyway, we it was a constant. My wife had taken the grandkids, and my daughter-in-law had taken the horses, and my son's Jewel is a professional steer
Yeah.
wrestler. He's
Is
got
he still doing that?
yeah, he
Okay.
is, and so we moved his horses.
Is he still at Sitka?
Yeah, he
Okay.
is. He's still there,
Oh, cool.
and so he was by himself there, and I was over here by myself, and then our mother-in-law was in Arizona, and we kept eye on her place, and there's a lot of people that was keeping an eye on stuff. But my son-in-law and daughter, they live out west of town, and they thought they'd lost their house, and then they ended up going back there to check on it, and dang, the fire hadn't flared back up, and she jumped out with a car.
I'm sorry.
She jumped out with a car out jacket, and he had my son-in-law had a bucket, and they put that fire out. So
Was just the car hard?
yeah, it's pretty neat that they did that, but it was pretty stressful. I've never been this scared in my life. And
How'd you get from the tractor? Did you get back to the house?
the CMS truck pulled up, and there's that no coincidence deal. They was out running. They had power lines down, and they just happened to come up. And I asked them if I could have a ride, and they said sure. And they gave me a ride back around to my house. So I was, but it was, we couldn't sleep. We had to keep an eye on it because there was so many fires. Whenever the wind would change, and it changed all the time. And when that wind would change, wherever it was coming from, like right now it's out of the northeast, you could look back over your shoulder from the north, and that's where the flames was fixing to come from. Whenever the wind changed, there was more fire. It was that way all night long. I guess that's about as stressed as I've ever been in my life.
So how close did it come to your house?
Oh, about probably 75 yards maybe.
Oh my gosh.
When I'd been up for 31 hours, and I just went to sleep. We didn't have any electricity, and Kelly said, she come in there and woke me up and said, Steve, we gotta go to town. And I said, what? Get up, we gotta go to town. And she's in a panic mode, and I couldn't wake up. And I said, what's going on? She said, they're evacuating protection. And I kind of threw some clothes around and got them on. Anyway, she was in the car. We flew into town, and of course we could see this big black cloud, smoke cloud coming right toward protection. I would have bet you $1,000 that town was going to get it. And we run in there. Our nephew had loaded his horses, and he wanted Kelly and I to take them out to our place and get them safe, So we get in there, get them, and she jumps in that pickup and with the horses, and I follow her, and we get out just a little bit west of protection, and Jiminy Christmas, that same black cloud that was about the same kind of smoke that was over there was also right west of our house. And it looked like it was a goner. We got there and
Back to your house?
yeah, and we got to our house and jumped on the Ranger. And when we got around on the west side of the house, like I said, it was 50 to 75 yards to the fence row, and the flames was probably 10, 12 foot tall. And of course the wind was out of the west, northwest, and our faces, it just burned our faces. It was coming so hard. All we could do was pray. That's what we did.
And it just didn't come any closer?
It didn't. I've got a 15-acre little wheat field right around my house. My neighbor said, how many acres is that wheat field? And I said, 15. He said, that might be the most valuable 15 acres of wheat you've ever planted in your life. That's exactly right. Yeah, it was, I had just after, we got out there to it, and I jumped out with a shovel, which, is pretty futile, but that's what I did. And a neighbor that works for the county, he came with a road grader, and he graded along the fence. He helped considerably, and about that time, fire truck showed up. You know, it just, there's no coincidence. God has planned. He wasn't gonna let our house burn. I'm really thankful to tell you that.